and welcome to another episode of Trailblazers Rising. I'm so happy to be here today with my guest, who is a new obsession of mine on social media and a mutual, I'll have you know, Dr. Alicia McDougall. And she is a fantastic pathic doctor. And we did have a brief discussion before we started this recording about what it is that she does, but I'm not going to butcher it. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Dr. Alicia. Say hello and tell us a little bit about what a naturopathic doctor does.
Thanks so much, Melanie, for the introduction and for having me. Naturopathic doctor, our training's similar to the conventional medical program. So we still do have that science foundation to it. We're just approaching things a little bit differently. So focusing on more of like the nutrition, lifestyle pieces, prescribing supplements, basically everything else that you can do to support your health are the tools that we'd be pulling from. And then sometimes still working alongside medication. So it's not necessarily an either or. It's just the other pieces that are oftentimes missed when we're approaching our health.
I love that. We need more people like you in this world, more doctors like you in this world. So without further ado, we will dive into the questions because I really want to know what sparked your entrepreneurial fire. What made you realize this is what you had to do?
Yeah. So, I mean, I honestly like the entrepreneurial. Wow, I'm struggling to say that word apparently. Entrepreneurial side of it. That kind of, I fell into that part, I think, more by accident because I think it's something you don't really think of when you're going through school. It's just like I was going through school to be an ND because I liked helping people and I liked science and medicine and all of those pieces. And it seemed like a good fit for me. And then jump out into the real world and you realize, oh, like you have to market yourself and you have to promote yourself. And a lot of it really is like business focus. Like it's a part of it you can't really avoid. So yeah, it was total accident, and certainly overwhelming at first, but slowly figuring it out over time. It just it took me by surprise a bit. Not something they cover in naturopathic school, unfortunately.
So they don't cover how to run your own private practice.
No, it's very minimal. I'm trying to remember. I think I had I remember there was one class. They were covering like how to be a professional, and it was talking about things like make sure your nails are clipped and like you're dressed professionally, and that's about the extent of like business training we got. And then they just kind of throw you out there. So I think a lot of us left school thinking like, yeah, you go to a clinic and patients are gonna find you and everything will be good. But the real world, especially working in Toronto, like there's a lot of NDs here, so it does take certainly a lot more than just showing up and people finding you.
How interesting. I am in Florida and we do not have a lot of NDs as far as I know. So, I mean, if you're ever looking to relocate, I know a guy. So let me ask you then, when it comes to balancing like the creative and the strategic part of running a business, right? So between creating content for your social media channels, email marketing, I don't know what all you get into, and then like balancing the books and all of the more boring stuff. How do you really walk that line?
Oh boy, yeah, that was probably my biggest struggle jumping in because having ADHD myself, like I was on the side of ADHD that like I managed to do well in school because of like the structure. Like I figured out the formula to school, like the structure, kind of the fear of failure and like being driven by like needing to get grades. Like it was enough to keep things flowing, keep things going well. And then yeah, you jump out into the real world and there's a lot of different things you got to fit into your day and organize yourself, and it's hard, and it was new. It was something I hadn't done for the 8 years I was in school after high school, right? So I think it really was a learning curve for me of like figuring out basically like playing around with different strategies like time blocking and like figuring out what's my capacity each day, like how much can I fit in a day realistically without just chronically falling back into burnout. And there's definitely been some cycles up and down from there. But I think it really is about just like getting an understanding of where your limits are, like knowing how hard you can push yourself and being strict on not going past that. And then finding a system to kind of organize and balance all of the different hats you have to wear, because there's certainly a lot of them.
There really are. You know, I had a download, if you will, today of I don't have routines. I have systems and I have agendas. So if I wake up in the morning and I go, okay, I have to do some email marketing. I want to send this email out to my list, and I have to pick the kid up from school, and I have to do this, I have to do that. The agenda is, well, I'm going to write the email early in the morning when my creativity is at its highest. I know that between the hours of 3 and 6 p.m., when I got to pick the kid up from school and take him to tennis or do this or do that, between 3 and 6 p.m., my brain is not going to do work stuff. No
Mm-hmm.
worky between 3 and 6 is what my brain says. My brain says, go move your body. My brain says, catch up with a friend or a client or whatever it is, reach out to people. Anything that I can do while like walking or pacing is really the energy of 3 to 6. So it's really like, all right, so I have a system to get everything done, and then I have an agenda as to when those systems are going to be enacted.
Yeah, and I think that like kind of like structure with like flexibility based on like how you're feeling and like understanding your patterns is so important, because I've also tried it where I've like scheduled my week and been like, okay, on these days it's business stuff, on these days I'm working on treatment plans, whatever it may be, and then I wake up and my brain's like, nah, not today. This is not the mood today. Like
Yes.
maybe you can do this, but no, like I don't care if this is what you want to do, scrap that. Like, so yeah, I think having that flexibility is super important to like not just be chronically frustrated with yourself.
Yes. So when it comes to neurodivergence, ADHD, all of the umbrella of neurodivergent diagnoses that are out there, which is why I like the term neurospicy, because I identify as a myriad of neurodivergence. So I don't like to leave
Mm-hmm.
anybody out or focus too much on anything. What, in terms of like supplementation, would you say is a good base for a neurodivergent woman entrepreneur who struggles with, mood and unpredictable energy level cycling, and really to help prevent that chronic burnout cycle that you and I are both hoping everybody can get out of?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I do have to just make a little disclaimer that this is not medical advice, for the sake of my college not being upset with me. But in terms of supplements, there's certainly an individual aspect to it, but there's some things that I would say generally most people who are neurodivergent, it's worth looking into. I often start with like some of the basic things. So like iron, for example, if you haven't had your blood iron levels checked, and if your iron levels are low, even in someone that doesn't have ADHD, we see ADHD-like symptoms with iron deficiency. We see increased rates of anxiety and depression with iron deficiency.
Yeah.
So something like that is such like a quick fix per se, of just like getting it checked and then making sure if it's low, we're supplementing to get you to a good spot with that. So like looking for deficiencies is one of the starting points typically. And then outside of that, when I'm talking other supplements, some of my favorites would be like saffron. Big fan of saffron for ADHD, depression, anxiety. We have great data for all of them. The ADHD supplement research, I would say we've just scratched the surface. Like there's certainly
Yeah.
a long way to go. But so far anyway, that is one of my favorites, that helps with some of the like executive function attention pieces with ADHD, but also the mood aspects and some of the emotional piece. So that's one of my go-tos. Phosphatidylserine is another one that I quite like. That one's a bit of a mouthful. Basically, it's a phospholipid that helps to buffer our cortisol levels. So we can't always control the stressors themselves, but it is giving us a little bit more control over our body's reaction to it. So we're
Yeah.
getting less of that cortisol release happening. I quite like that one. Like we do have data again for attention, focus, etc. But for the neurodivergent folk who have difficulties maybe turning their brain off before bed, that like kind of tired but wired picture where your
Yeah.
body is exhausted but your brain just won't shut up thinking about everything else you got going on. That's often cortisol at play there. So something like phosphatidylserine can be a great fit to help bring that down. Yeah, there's others that I certainly work with too, but I would say those are kind of like the big three, that I'm looking at first would be like the iron, the saffron, and the phosphatidylserine.
What are your thoughts on rhodiola rosea?
Yeah, I quite like it too. Especially for I've been on and off it myself for burnout. I use it in a lot of burnout patients to it's a nice way to provide some energy since it is a bit more of like a stimulating adaptogen, without just kind of stepping on the gas with more caffeine, more stimulants, etc.
Yeah.
It's like a gentler way to provide that mood support and energy that can be, again, quite nice for those experiencing burnout, or
Yeah.
even not even full burnout, but even if it is kind of teetering in that realm, can still be a great option.
Now, I will tell you, I've recently found out that L-tyrosine, which is highly acclaimed in the ADHD space, and I was taking pretty religiously to get into work mode, on my work days of
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, well, I'm going to go take my suppies. That's what I call my supplements. I'm going to go take my suppies, and then they're going to kick in, and I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to go to town. I'm going to get some work done. I was experiencing headaches, and that is
Mm.
not something that I'm wired to do. I'm more of a tummy ache girl myself personally. And I had recently started the Neurospicy Academy with my friend and business partner Christina when these headaches started. So I was like, okay, maybe I just need to be wearing my glasses more. So I was wearing my glasses. I was still getting the headaches. I was like, all right, maybe I need to get the blue light glasses. So I was doing that and I was still getting the headaches. So I was like, this is because you got me staring at a computer screen, and I was more used to a lot less computer, more phone, more handwrite, that sort of stuff. And I did a little research, and I found out L can actually cause headaches in some people. Are you familiar with that? And why don't they warn people?
Yeah, I honestly like. I think it's great that, and I'll try not to go on a full tangent here, but
We love
I
tangents. Go off.
yeah, I guess it's a ADHD friendly podcast. So, but yeah, I think it's great that there's so much like health information out there now, and people are talking more about supplements. And but I think that's the part that's often missed is like a lot of people will like hype you up about how great this product is, but they don't really talk about, yeah, like sometimes people do experience side effects, or supplements, although they're natural, they can interact with things. And
Yeah.
so maybe, yeah, you're taking a medication, it's interacting with a medication, or if you have kidney issues, for example, and a supplement is a little harder on the kidneys, like things like that. It's really important to have a good understanding of before you just jump into taking something.
Yeah.
I think I yeah, like I don't know where you like originally like heard about L-tyrosine and kind of got on that got went on that journey, but like it's whatever source provided that information, like ideally should have provided a little bit of the background too, like in terms of health and the safety side of it, because they're not despite being natural, they're not always inert supplements.
Yeah,
um
absolutely. I get that. I like that a lot. Now, when it comes to lifestyle that is good and supportive for an ADHD person, a neurodivergent person, I have found through all of my research, and research is my special interest, so I feel qualified to speak about it. We know that a low dopamine morning and a high protein diet is very beneficial, and it requires no doctor. It requires no, like, you can just start making these accommodations now to see a huge improvement in your cognition and your ability to sit still and focus and complete tasks without getting shiny syndrome and going, oh, let me go deal with that. So when it comes to like a low dopamine morning, and which
mhm.
simply means you're not going to check your phone first thing in the morning. You're not going to scroll first thing in the morning, because the amount of dopamine that, like the hit of dopamine you get in the morning, is the size hit your brain's going to be chasing throughout the rest of the day. So if you think about it, like if you are hitting the jackpot of dopamine at 7 a.m. when you wake up in the morning, that's the size hit that your brain is going to crave for the rest of the day. How can you help our listeners really manage that and make the most of it from the moment they wake up?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've explained it necessarily in this way before, but I love that kind of low dopamine morning framing of it. I think it like a lot of it does really come down to like what works for you, but I think there's some commonalities between all of us. Is, yeah, like jumping on our phones first thing generally is not a good way to start your day. So like figuring out what does feel good, and then putting some like putting barriers in place, I guess, to prevent you from doing those things anyway, because I know many of us will have the best plan for the morning and like kind of have a general idea of what's going to work for us, and then we wake up tired, maybe a little moody, whatever it may be, and then next thing you know, you're reaching for your phone because it's right there. Um so I think like planning for like our best and worst day can be a big piece there, like knowing that, okay, if I wake up in a bad mood, I'm more likely to grab my phone, so maybe I should plug my phone in across the room, across the apartment, so that it's that much harder for me to do the thing that isn't going to be helping me. And then again, like making the task that we want to do as easy as possible to access. So if my idea of a good morning routine is getting up and going for a walk first thing with my dog, like having my clothes laid out, having again, like doing like the little things to make that the easy choice over jumping into the thing that isn't going to set me off on the right path. I find like planning my day first thing helps me a lot too, so that I'm able to kind of shut off the thoughts of, okay, I got to do this today and that today and this today. The sooner I can kind of jump in and just get a grasp on what my day looks like without getting dragged actually into those tasks, that helps me a lot with it. And then yeah, making sure I take time for myself and kind of start things off slow, so that I yeah, not kind of jumping right into that overwhelm of the day.
Yeah, I like to tell my clients and all the members at the Neurospicy Academy, your neurodivergence is not the problem. Your ADHD, your autism, your rejection sensitivity, whatever flavor you align with and you feel like you deal with, that's not the problem. The problem is you're not having accommodations. The problem is your executive functioning. The problem is, trying to live to a neurotypical standard when that is going to exhaust all and use up all of your mental calories. And then you're going to just sit here beating yourself up mentally and emotionally because you weren't able to do all the things that you wanted to do. But like when it comes to the 8 key executive functions, so organization and all the and emotional regulation and all that, if you're spending all your spoons trying to get dressed
Uh,
and ready in the morning, then the rest of the day is not going to go well.
Yeah, I was just about to bring up spoon theory. So I love that you naturally gravitated there. I think it's an amazing way of like, yeah, just being real with ourselves, because yeah, some days we wake up and we got all the spoons available and we know we have the capacity to kind of do all the things, and then other days we wake up and yeah, maybe there's only a couple of them and we can't, if we're not honest with ourselves from the start, then it's we're just gonna end up, yeah, kind of feeling like crap as the day goes on, and like feel like we're not reaching the potential, but we don't always start with the same level of potential each day.
That's very true. I used to work in a very busy restaurant for 5.5 years before I went full time with my business back in
Mm.
2021. And when I tell you, I worked at a very busy mall at a very busy restaurant chain that had a huge, gigantic menu. And I would still go to the grocery store after work. I would still go out for drinks with my girlfriends. I would still do all of these things. And now that I am a fully accommodated, neurodivergent, unmasked human being running my own business with more freedom and time and revenue than I've ever experienced, I can't even go to Walmart and Target in the same day. Like, I have been to the mall before with my children to get sneakers, and we have all hit the wall and ran out of spoons at the same time and just looked at each other and been like, I'm out of spoons. And my kids are like, I'm too. We're like, let's get out of here. So how have you, when it comes to managing the expectations around like your energetic output and like you say, your capacity, do you have any tips or tricks for like not beating yourself up because you're not driven by your trauma drive anymore? Like you now understand this is what I can do. Cause that's the biggest, roadblock for all of my clients is like, well, I used to be able to do all this. Why can't I do this now?
Yeah, couple things, and I think this is something that I am still certainly working on, and like I think we all, just with neurodivergent folk, like it's ingrained in us from such a young age. So it it does definitely still take some reminders. But yeah,
Yeah.
part of my planning my day, I do use I was using a digital planner. Now I just do it in my notes of the in the app that I'm using, but I do kind of put in how many spoons I have, and then I put in potential barriers throughout my day too. If I slept poorly last night, like I should note that and know that I can't put as many things on my to-do list as I would like to.
Yeah.
Um and then I do, as much as my body resists to-do lists and organizing tasks, like I need it. Like
Yeah.
if I don't, it's just chaos. So
Yeah.
like giving myself the tough love to be like, no, like this is a non-negotiable. You're going to do this and you're going to feel better when you do it. Um, but I find that piece is huge for me too. And then I'll include even the small things. So I get those little dopamine hits throughout the day as I'm like checking off the things I know I'm going to do. Um, it just visually seeing that and like it brings more, I think, intentionality into like focusing on the small wins, because it's something that many of us don't really do. We don't recognize, yeah, like even the little things that we're doing for ourselves each day. Like, yeah, if I get up and I do my skincare routine, like that's a win. Like that's something that I should be celebrating. Um, and instead, it's so much easier for us to look at our list and say, I didn't get this, and this done. Like, wow, I'm always behind. I can never follow through, etc. And that's just how our brains are like naturally wired to jump to those
Yeah.
pieces. So if we're not really being intentional about recognizing each win, and then to tie into that too, I would say there was a concept my therapist actually spoke with me about, which I really loved, of like past, current, and future self, and like bringing intentionality into recognizing things that I do that support all of those versions of me. So, yeah, like if I take my supplements in the morning, that's looking out for current Alicia and future Alicia, and I'm grateful from that I loved myself enough to do that. Like, and that's really how we kind of build a more stable, I guess, or stable is not really the word I'm looking for. A self worth, I guess, that's not dependent on what we achieve in a day and that
Mm-hmm.
like external validation. Because if we're always looking for those pieces, it's much easier for us to be disappointed and discouraged, and feel like we're falling short.
I found out something today that really rocked my world, and it is a rejection sensitive brain is wired to is it hurt my feelings when I found this out. And okay. All right. A rejection sensitive brain is wired to perceive neutral as negative, to
Mhm.
amplify negative, and to minimize positive. So when you are out with friends and you get stuck in that mindset and that spiral of like, oh God, everybody hates me, why does nobody like me? It is because you're seeing neutral as negative, you're amplifying actual negative things that happen, and then you are minimizing anything positive that happens. And then to add fuel to the fire, it was a therapist that explained to me that the severity of the trauma that we incur is not based on the event itself. It is based on how alone you felt when you experienced the trauma.
Oh, interesting. That's
So
I haven't.
when your business mindset coach comes to you and says, "I would like you to work on a more positive mindset and these are the obstacles that we're up again," it's going to be easy to understand why it's been so difficult thus far. Whether you're into manifestation, whether you're into self-development and personal development, whether you're into business, it doesn't matter. If your brain is already hardwired against all of those roadblocks.
Mhm, mhm.
So, I mean,
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but like myself, like I was late diagnosed too. So like I know many of us are in that boat, and then now at least there's an explanation. At least we can understand like RSD and how that impacts us. Whereas yeah, growing up, like that wasn't there. It was just we would have these kind of severe emotional reactions to real rejection or perceived rejection, whatever it may have been, and just not understood why our body's freaking out when like logically we feel like we should be fine, but we're not fine.
yeah, absolutely. And then the term emotional flooding, I didn't even need anybody to explain that to me. I just heard emotional flooding and I went, "Oh, I bet I know what that is." Just based on, the amount of, and if you think about it too. So most of us are late diagnosed. Most all of us are late
Mm-hmm.
realized is what I like to say, because I don't believe that the argument of a professional diagnosis or a self-diagnosis is as important as just realizing, hey, this is my neurotype. This is what
I
my
would
nervous
agree.
system and my brain does, and these are the ways that I'm going to improve my well-being and my lifestyle. So when it comes to understanding, okay, so I am rejection sensitive and I have emotional flooding, so that means if I'm not taking care of my sensory needs, right? And if I'm sitting at the dinner table and listening to everybody chew, and I've had a stressful day staring at ring lights, and I haven't done anything to, like, as soon as I'm done here with this interview, all of these lights that are on around me are going to go off, and I'm going to sit back in the dark staring at a computer screen with blue light glasses on, because that's
Mm-hmm.
sensorily what I need. So, of
Mm-hmm.
course, once we figure all this out and we can identify what our neurotype is, then we can start improving like radically. So, tell me some of the accommodations that you have in your life and your business that can help other, neurodivergent entrepreneurs?
For sure. So where do I start with this? I think too, I'm just thinking about it, and I very ADHD of me, but I tend to something works for me for a while, and then I kind of flip to a different tool, or I get bored of
Uh-huh.
one thing working and flip around a little bit. So yeah, lots to pull from, but it does. I find it certainly takes some trial and error. But yeah, some of the things that work. So I again, like, just having forcing structure on myself, and same with, again, the patients I work with, like, that's a piece that needs to be there, in some aspect. I don't really care how you're doing it, but choosing a tool that works for you. um I can mention the tool I'm currently using is Sensama, which I've really liked. It's not sponsored by them or anything, but I'm like
It could
pretty,
be.
like, yeah, hit me up if you guys are listening. But yeah, that's the one I found has been really great because it links right with my Google Calendar. And it has the flexibility to drag things around. So I've tried some of like the AI ones before where it plans it out for you. But if it plans it out and my brain says, I don't like that, then it doesn't work. So
Yeah.
yeah, finding a tool that's going to fit your brain. And like, I had to commit to like make myself watch how-to videos because I found I kept just like trying a organizational tool, not fully committing to understanding it, and then saying no, this doesn't work, and then giving up on it. But that piece is a big foundational one for me. I think recognizing, again, like the type of state that I'm in. So if my brain is having a day where it's more all over the place, um, maybe I can't listen to music while I'm working. I might have to use, like, I'll do like 40 hertz binaural beats. We have some pretty good data for improved focus there. So if I'm struggling to focus, I'll use something like that. Or if I'm a little more on the anxious side, feeling a little overwhelmed, like, I know I need to add more intentionality into like breaks throughout the day. So really kind of
Yeah.
breaking up my day into smaller chunks of time. Timers, I'm a huge fan of timers. The time blindness piece with ADHD is a challenging one. And I think both myself and people that I've worked with because we struggle to estimate how long something is going to take. It's a recipe to kind of overpack our day and then again feel discouraged when we don't do all the things. So I'll often use like the Pomodoro technique I quite like, which is essentially you're doing 25 minutes of focused work, no distractions, phones away, it's on do not disturb, you have your water ready, you're fed, nothing ideally should be pulling you away from that time block. So it's 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, and I'll usually do about 2 or 3 rounds of those before I take a longer break. But I find that works quite well, again, depending on the day. Those I would say are my biggest ones. That I use most consistently. I'll use like little things too, like I will use like the 2 minute rule. I try to remind myself if something's going to take less than 2 minutes, just do it now.
Just do it.
If there's the capacity for it, instead of
Yeah.
procrastinating it. Um, there's the 5 minute rule too, which works well for some people. Of if you're really procrastinating something, commit, like set a timer, commit to just 5 minutes of working on it, and then oftentimes they'll continue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say those are some of the bigger ones that I'll often pull from.
That's funny. I like to call that one just the tip, and it's how I get myself to take all of my supplements most days, where I'm like, all right, we're just going to take three. What are the three
Yeah.
most important? Plus, that gets my brain, like, right? I'm like, all right, the three most important ones today are going to be this, this, and this. All right. And then I've just opened 3 bottles and I've swallowed these. So let's just take 3 more. What are the 3 next most important ones? Right. So it's like, I have to talk myself into things all the time because we know the ADHD brain sees every single step. What I don't understand, perhaps you can help me with this, Doc. I don't understand how our brain sees every single step involved in a shower, for example, right? So from the moment, from the first step, which is getting your ass out of whatever chair you're sitting in, right? And then walking to the bathroom and then disrobing and turning the water on. Like, we see all those steps, which is why it can be so overwhelming. Why then do we also have such an issue with organization of tasks when we know what every step is? So like, for example, I use ChatGPT for outlines, for emails, for agendas, for all that, right? Because literally I can brain dump and I can say, hey, bud, it's nice to see you. And I talk to my ChatGPT like he is a person and I'm very nice to him,
Mhm.
because you're supposed to be very nice to your AI.
I've heard
And
that. Yeah.
I am nice to my AI. Thank you very much. So I'll just say, hey, I need to write an outline for, like, at the Neurospicy Academy, we do a Rebel Roundtable every Tuesday night. So I'll have, the time frame, and I'll have the topic, and I'll say, so I need an outline for our Rebel Roundtable. We're talking about how to use ChatGPT for business. It's going to be an hour long. Can you help me with that? And he'll just spit it out. And then, because I see it in my brain, but to get it from my brain to my paws to the computer to the screen is where it just goes, I don't have it. So when it comes to executive functioning, how do you help your executive function throughout the day?
Yeah, so it's another tough one because you certainly like you look at the whole like you look at all those steps, even though we can recognize the steps, you look at them and they all feel important and they all feel overwhelming. And our brains struggle to like think of it in a way that like, okay, no, just focus on this first and then we can move to this and this and this. So I do think like or when you organize your day, like taking that into consideration and breaking things down as small as possible is important. But then also like you don't want to like have the full thing in front of you either. So if you have like and I'm still guilty of this oftentimes and I have to remind myself not to just put everything that I have to get done on like today, for example, if I know I realistically won't get to all of it. And then even from there, like trying to break it down even more. I'll sometimes have patients like use like a sticky note where they put maybe like 1 to 3 things at a time on the sticky note, and then they're putting the rest of their to-do list away. But these three are my top priority. 3 things feels a lot less overwhelming than the full to-do list. And then it's not that you can't go back and get more things once you finish them, but just not having that big list glaring at you the whole time really does change the feel. I do in the app I use too. It does have a focus mode, which I like. I swear they don't promote it for ADHD, but I think it's definitely ADHD friendly. It's in the focus mode. Basically, it pops up and you just see the task you're working on, and then it has a timer. So it'll time how long you actually take to get through it and then compare it to what you estimated. So helps you get more realistic in kind of guesstimating how long your typical tasks would take. But again, it hides the big scary to-do list that you don't want staring at you all day.
That's incredible. I like that. What is the name of that app again?
Sunsama.
Sunsama.
Yeah, right. Let me make sure I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I instantly
Sunsama.
went to
Sunsama.
the Michael Jackson "Mama Say Mama" song. Instantly started playing in my head when you said "Sun Sama." So we will definitely check out that app. I like anything that will help with organization and task management and task initiation, which is also one of those 8 key executive functions. Because we throw around the term executive dysfunction and executive function, and I would like everyone to know that technically it is executive function and that you struggle with executive function, but the term executive dysfunction is just very fun. And we like to talk about my executive dysfunction. I call it, and this is a term I got from my friend and business partner at the Neurospicy Academy, mental calorie loads, right? So when we talk about breaking down your to-do list into a month and then a week and then a day and like an hour, that sort of stuff, you don't want to pair a bunch of high mental calorie tasks together, right? So if you know that you are going out to dinner and drinks with your girlfriend, probably don't aim to be super social all day long, right? So like I'm not going to go live on TikTok and make content and do a podcast interview and have to go out with my friends at night, because I won't be able to withstand all of that. I will burn out. I will be very, very tired. I will need days of recovery time for that. So really think about, what's going to require a lot of mental calories and then break it up accordingly.
Yeah, I've sometimes I play around with like color coding tasks based on like how much they drain me and how much they like take out of me. I don't always do it. It's something that I do want to do more of and get a better understanding of that. But yeah, it's different types of tasks drain you in different ways for sure. And like knowing where your limits are socially from a cognitive perspective, focus perspective, etc., really goes a long way and is going to help, prevent you from diving back down into that not so fun burnout category.
Yeah, absolutely. And the trauma drive is something that's kind of new for me new to my wheelhouse, but it's essentially how we used to be able to do so much stuff, right? Before we were accommodating our neurodivergence and when we were still just trying to live a neurotypical life. And that's what was propelling you forward was, okay, well, I have to show up and I have to take care of people and I have to do this and I have to do that and la 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 and da da da. And then you have that big, huge burnout moment of just like bottoming out. I know a lot of us hit it during the quarantine, during the pandemic, when we were all able to just slow down. And if you didn't burn out then you started realizing your burnout soon after, when you were like, wait a minute.
Mhm.
Especially those of us that were working in a very busy restaurant, and then you had, 2 months off of your very busy restaurant and you were just able to like live and have fun. If you were here in Florida, you were fighting for, I won't even get into it because that's a whole nother comment. It's a whole nother thing. But like, then they want you to go back to performing at the same level, and you're like, well, wait a minute, that's not possible
Mhm.
anymore. I don't have those settings anymore, right? And that's something that my clients really are hard on themselves about when they come to me and are like, well, I used to be able to do all of this and now I just can't do all of this, and everybody wonders why I can't do all this. And I know personally, I held myself to the standard that every day should be a high energy day. And if you have ADHD,
Mhm.
you know what a high energy day is. It's when you wake up, you feel great, you get a lot done, you're in a good mood, people want to be around you, you want to be around people. Never make plans on your high energy day, by the way, because the day that those plans come up, you're no longer high energy and you're like, why did I do this to myself? But the sooner you can understand that your energy cycles are going to go up and down and up and down and up and down, and that everybody likes you more on a high energy day, but everybody still likes you on a low energy day, really that
Yeah.
flexibility it's just so important.
For sure, for sure. And I do think too, like with the pandemic, I definitely saw a shift in like people that had never experienced like social anxiety or really anything kind of within that realm. All of a sudden they were experiencing it, or yeah, like they felt like they could have a very jam-packed social schedule, and then we got used to staying at home. So it's jumping back into that. It's like relearning something that was so just like second nature to us for the longest time. And that certainly has its implications too. But I would say it's amplified for the ADHD brain.
Absolutely. So tell me again, how long have you been ND? That is a naturopathic doctor.
Yeah, about 2.5 years now. I was a 2020 graduate, so jumped into the work field during the pandemic, which was lots of fun.
Oh my goodness. So what does a regular day in your naturopathic doctor life look like?
So it depends on whether I have certain days where I'm seeing patients, certain days where I'm not. So they do end up being a little bit of a mix, but usually there's a chunk of time where I am working one on one with patients, whether that be virtually via video calls or I do work in person at a clinic in Toronto as well. Outside of that, I'm working on treatment plans for patients. So usually doing research for the case, kind of putting together recommendations in a way that makes sense for them. It's going to be bite sized for them to work on in between appointment. So that takes up a big chunk of my time. Um, and then around that, like there is quite a bit in terms of like keeping up with emails and messages from patients. There's the business side of it too. So working on social media stuff, I do have some other projects in the works too of like other offerings that'll be coming out, hopefully not too far in the future. But like working on basically expanding my offerings beyond one-on-one care has been something that has been a side project for me. And then yeah, outside of that, I would say in terms of like work hours, the other piece would be well, admin stuff. I intentionally probably didn't talk about the admin stuff because I absolutely hate the admin
I
side of it.
hate the
Those are the
admin.
tasks.
It's the worst.
Yeah, yeah. Those are the tasks that get procrastinated, but we eventually get to those. And then yeah, basically any other work time I have left, it's just dedicated to learning. So that's where I kind of dig into the like for fun reading, usually on something mental health or ADHD related.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love if more people like you were active in the mental health and wellness space, because, having an open mind about it, having a solid, footing of education and experience put together is so important. And again, a naturopathic doctor might be for you if you're dealing with things outside of the line of fine. Tell me about that again. We talked about this before we hopped on here, but Dr. Megan Walker talks about the line of fine, and then where a naturopathic doctor comes in.
Yeah. So the one of my mentors, Dr. Megan Walker, her the way she puts it, I think sums it up perfectly. That with naturopathic medicine, it's not necessarily an either or of like conventional medicine or naturopath. But we each have our role. So you could go see your family doctor, your conventional medical doctor, and basically their job is to make sure you're not dying. So they get
Yeah.
you to that line of fine. They make sure, okay, none of your blood works show that you have a disease. Great, you're okay. Go home. But maybe you still feel like crap. So that's where we come in. That's where naturopaths, other healthcare practitioners, because I most people aren't okay with just being fine. We want to feel good. We want to feel great.
Yeah.
We want to live our life without like having aspects of our health hold us back. So yeah, that's where we need kind of more of a collaborative model when we're approaching medicine, whether it be mental health or other aspects of your health.
I love that so much. I love it so much. Okay, so before we get into the lightning round of fun neurospicy questions, tell everybody, Dr. Alicia, where they can find you. And again, everything will be linked to these videos. But tell everybody where they can find you, and how they can work with you.
For sure. So my website is dralicia.ca. So I have kind of my info up there, what I'm about, and booking links there if you were interested in working together. I do offer free 15-minute consults for anybody that was curious about naturopathic medicine. Fortunately, I can only see people who live in Ontario, so that is a little barrier there for now. But again, hoping to kind of launch some other offerings that extend my reach a little bit more in the coming months. So keep an eye out for that. And then in terms of social media, the main one I'm using right now is Instagram. So my Instagram is Dr. Alicia Mack. So like Dr. period Alicia Mack. And that's where I share most of my content. Maybe someday I'll get on TikTok. I don't know how Melanie manages to do it all, but it's on the future plan list too.
I do love TikTok when it comes to, reach, and I like Instagram when it comes to connection, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to like LinkedIn, and I'm getting there slowly. And
Oh boy, yeah.
YouTube, I feel like I might have just missed the boat when it came to YouTube because I am 37, and I know
Mm-hmm.
people that are in their 20s are really into YouTube, and I know like some early 30s are really into YouTube. It just never really, I'd rather Google something or look it up on TikTok. So I'm that weird intermediate thing, but I'm sure I can help you break into whatever social media market that you want to, because social media is, really the name of the game when it comes to service-based
Yeah.
businesses. Absolutely. So yeah. All right. Are you ready for the lightning round? It's 5 questions that I ask everybody on this show, and it's all about just the
Sounds good. Let's do
question
it.
number 1. What is your favorite social media platform to use personally?
For we'll say TikTok. For me, like just enjoying myself, not in terms of like business. I would much rather watch TikToks.
Yeah, TikTok is it. All right, this is a fun one. What is the most recent rabbit hole you've gone down?
And honestly, it's been ADHD really. It was because I was only diagnosed a year ago. So basically, since I was diagnosed, that's been my obsession of just learning everything there is to know because it's helps me out, helps my patients out, and it's lots of fun to learn about.
I know it is. It's so fun to learn about it. All right. I am a firm believer that we can use shows to help us with our emotions. So we have emotional support shows. And then we can also use shows to help us manifest whatever it is that we're trying to attract in, right? So you can watch shows about people who have what you want, and you can then like get on that level, quote unquote. And then when you're having some sort of thing that you're working through, your emotional support shows will always be there for you. So can you share with us your current emotional support show and or a manifestation show that you like?
I don't know if at least not recently. I don't think I've used like a TV show in that way. Like that's what you mean, right? Like a
Yeah.
TV show or something.
Like your
Yeah, I would
go-to, you
say
always start, like a lot of people, they say Friends, or, mine is
okay,
Parks and
okay,
Rec, that sort of thing.
gotcha. Okay, that just like that light, easy to watch.
Yes.
Um, Probably The Office then. I would say.
Okay.
Again, I feel like it's a basic answer, but yeah, that one's probably that's a nice easy watch. Yeah, just or rewatching like movies. Like I really like a lot of like I like Soul and what's the other one? Inside Out, like those like Pixar movies that
Oh
like have the cute little
yeah.
messages in them. I
Yeah.
watch those fairly regularly too. I find they're a nice little boost, and yeah, an easy watch.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Because, there's a lot of like emotionality that goes into taking on a new show. And
Mm-hmm.
I love the HBO shows that have like 8 episodes. I'm like, I can handle this. I can take this on.
Mm-hmm.
I can do this. Absolutely. But then like when it comes to I want to fall asleep and not have to turn anything off, it's going to be like Downton Abbey, because that's a nice peaceful show to listen to that's not going to wake you up and you're not going to be mad if you miss anything. All right, fourth question. And you're a doctor, so I'm going to be ashamed that I'm asking you this. Have you had any water today, and do you want to share your emotional support cup with everyone?
Yes, I've certainly have my friendly water bottle here with me. My brother's dog actually, this was his favorite chew toy when he first got him, so that's
Oh,
why
what
it's
an
kind of beaten up a little
angel.
bit, but
I love
it's well
it.
loved. Yeah.
And it's
But
pink
yeah,
for anybody listening. It's pink, so I approve it.
yeah. I think I probably not surprisingly, I lose them quite frequently. So the color gets the benefit of that is I get to try a new one and a new pretty color each time. So we're on pink for now.
Yeah. All right. Last question. What is your current dopamine snack or meal?
Ooh. Okay. I mean, these aren't going to be very naturopathic of me, but that's okay. We all love some balance. So, yeah. I mean, pizza has always been like my favorite
Yeah.
food. Pizza or like, yeah, if I'm feeling like I need a little boost, sushi is another one that's certainly a go-to.
Ooh, nobody has said
Um,
sushi yet. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I was a little moody last night. We got sushi. I feel better today, so we'll blame the
Yeah.
sushi. Oops, spilling my water bottle now. And then snack. I've been on this jalapeno jack. Do you guys have Kernels in the U.S.? Kernels
What is it?
popcorn? Is that a Canadian thing? The popcorn store. Kernels, it's called. Might be a Canadian thing. But anyway, I there was this flavor that me and my dad always used to get growing up that I really loved, and I hadn't touched it in years, but it's been my like addiction lately of like my fun dopamine snack when I'm craving something to give me that little boost. It's very good. Would recommend if you guys ever get a Kernels.
Okay, kernels, look it up. I'm going to try and figure that out. I love go popcorn. I'm a big proponent of heavily peppering my popcorn.
Oh, interesting. See,
Like
I'm
to the
a bit
point
of
where it
a
hurts. I like it a lot of pepper. Yeah.
I'm a bit of a baby with spice. I've come a long way, but pepper used to be too spicy for me as a kid. So we have to tread lightly there for me.
What a gentle baby. I know. I want my popcorn to be like as black as my
Uh,
tank top when it comes to putting pepper on it. Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Oh my gosh. Well, Alicia, Dr. Alicia, I am so thankful and grateful that you were here on the podcast. And I want everybody that is listening to go follow her on all the socials that you can possibly find her on Instagram first. And I want to thank everybody for listening and hanging out. And we will talk again soon. Okay, bye.
Thanks so much, Melanie. Thanks, guys. Bye.